Hey, this is Rob Gallup here, and we are working with MapTool. And in this lesson, we're going to look at map view, light sources, token site, fog of war, and vision blocking. We will run through what all of them are, how to turn them on and off, and how to work with them. I'm going to throw quite a lot at you in this lesson. It's necessary because all of these things work together, and none of them look right unless all of them are set properly and um, but individually, they're not that difficult to understand. Uh, the complexity can arise if uh, even one of these is set the wrong way. It can affect the way all the rest of them work. So that's why we're going to look at all of them together in this lesson. The first thing we're going to take a look at is DM view and player view. And what that means is here under the view menu, right now, show as player is selected, and because of that, this player view notification comes up here, so you know that that's how the map is currently set. And all this means is that the map now looks the way it will look to the players. And the only time you leave player view on is when you're ready to export a map to use in your game, or if you just want to see how your map is looking as you work on it and get it ready for the players to look at. So we're going to go back in here and turn off show as player. Right now, it doesn't make any difference in the way the map looks, show as player versus being in DM view. Right now, we're in DM view, and that's because we haven't defined anything. We haven't defined any tokens with vision. We haven't defined any sources of light and things like that. So right now, there's just nothing to look at. So DM view and player view doesn't really matter. Fog of war. Fog of war is just a black curtain that appears over everything. And because we are in DM view right now, fog of war, it's just sort of a dim effect. And in player view, this is what fog of war is it represents the unknown. Usually it represents darkness, but it could represent blindness or a darkness spell or something along those lines. But all it is it's this blackness. And looking over at this illustration over here, you can see fog of war down here is completely black. Here it's about 50% opaque, and you can see through it a little bit to represent dim light. And here around this fire, fog of war is completely dispelled and non-existent, and you can see clearly through it. That's all fog of war is it's a way for MapTool to reveal or hide parts of the map depending on different effects that you have that dispel it. And we're going to take a look at that in a little more depth. So right now I'm going to go back to DM view, and I'm going to turn off fog of war so we can see what we're doing. Token site, making a creature token that can see sources of light and see obstacles that block light. We have a couple of things sitting on the map here from previous lessons. We're going to switch to the token layer, and we have our human sorcerer already on the map. We're going to put our tabaxi fighter next to our human sorcerer, and you'll see when I drag and drop a token onto the map with the token layer selected, I get this question, as always, is it an NPC or is it a PC? The only time you'll ever want to use a PC setting is for a PC, and only PCs are ever going to need sight, are ever going to need vision. Nothing else in the game does, and that's the reason why this is here. So we've got it set to PC. I hit OK, and there's my tabaxi fighter. Again, nothing has changed, even though we've defined this as a PC. And that's because we haven't defined any light sources, and we haven't defined anything that blocks light. So if we were to go back here and re-enable player view and fog of war, the Tabaxi is sitting in a dark dungeon with no sources of light and can't see anything as a result. And that's what we're going to change now. So I'm going to turn off fog of war and player view, and we're going to give this Tabaxi fighter something to see by. So I right-click on the token, I hit edit, and this setting here, this is what when you first drop the token on the map, this is where the setting comes from here. Right now it's a PC because we told to make it a PC when we first dropped it on the map. Under Has Site, under this Config tab, Has Site, put a check by Has Site, and in D&D 5th edition, it's pretty much always going to be normal or dark vision. We'll use normal because that's it's a little more informative when we're learning how this stuff works. And I hit OK. So repeating that process again on a token that's already on the board, I right-click on the token, edit, I go into the config tab, I make sure that it's set to be a PC, Has Site is checked, and it's normal or dark vision. We'll make this one normal. And OK. But they are in a dark dungeon and they have no way to see. So let's give them some light. I have some flames already on the map in the object layer from a previous lesson here. And we will move our flame into the same room with them. And we right-click on our flames and light sources, D20, and a bunch of options pop up here. Just about everything in 5th edition D&D is you're going to want to use torch 20. That's 20 feet of bright light followed by another 20 feet of dim light. And the light spell has that effect. A torch has that effect. So almost everything that you make is going to use light source D20, torch 20. And that's what we're going to set here. And once again, you'll see that nothing has changed, and that's because we are looking at it as a DM, not as a player, and fog of war is off. There's another reason why nothing has changed, and we're going to take a look at the next setting, which is the vision environment. And this is really simple. It's under Map, Vision, and basically there's not a whole lot of difference. There is some, not important, not going to get into it right now, but there's not a whole lot of difference between off and day. The one you're going to want to use for dungeon crawling is night. The day setting assumes that there is a sun overhead shining down light on all parts of the map, so your sources of illumination don't matter. And that's in the day setting. Almost the same thing in the off setting. There are a few small differences. Night is going to be the one you're going to want to use in all of your dungeons. And you see, once I made it night, we still have the night setting on here. Even though fog of war is off and we are still in DM view, the map is starting to show us, our MapTool is starting to show us the effects of our work. And you can see our flames here, and 5, 10, each square is 5 feet, 5, 10, 15, 20. Measured from the center of the square, we get out to halfway through this next square. So we get our 20 feet of bright light, and then you can see a little better down here. Beyond that, we get another 20 feet of dim light. The reason why the walls aren't blocking this light is we haven't defined anything that blocks the light yet. And that's what we're going to do now. We're going to select the background layer, and we're going to go up here, and we're going to work with vision blocking layer tools. And this is the really cool stuff. There's, when you hit the vision blocking layer button up here, a lot of these tools appear. The only ones that you could get away probably with using only one of them, and that's draw a rectangular VBL. This draw a polyline can be useful sometimes as well too. So we'll take a look at only these two, draw a line basically, and draw a block of vision blocking. So it works a lot like the drawing tools that we looked at in a previous lesson. You just put the pointer at a spot, usually at the intersection of some squares. You left click, and it pins one corner of the vision blocking area there, and you move it and define the other corner and hit left click again, and there's our vision blocking. So we just drew this rectangular shape, and you'll see that we have our torch down here, and it's removed the shadowy area. A good way to quickly make entire sections of the dungeon vision blocking, to define walls rather, is to do like you do with the drawing tools. You draw a very large vision blocking shape over your dungeon, and then you cut out the parts that you want to have, that are rooms that you want to have the light be visible in. So to erase vision blocking, I just drew this really big area of blue vision blocking. I hold down the Shift key, press the left mouse button, and I get this light area here. I define the other corner, and I hit it again, and there's our room. And again, you can do this just like with drawing. You can very quickly, you got to hold down the Shift key. You can very quickly erase vision blocking to draw out the parts of the dungeon that are solid walls versus the parts that are open air that the light can shine through. So when we go back to, we turn on Fog of War, and before we enable player view, another setting that's important to know about here is you right click and expose only currently visible. And that's going to tell MapTool to expose only what these creatures can currently see. You'll see that depending on where they are relative to the light source. Here, let me go up here to player view, show as player. If we move the light source, and then refresh what the tokens can see, expose only currently visible, you can see that the walls are blocking this source of light, and you get, from the center of this square, 1, 2, 3.5, which is 20 feet, and then the shadowy area hits a wall here, and you can't see it. The tokens have vision, so as they move around, you're seeing from the perspective of this token. Expose only currently visible, and this token and this token combined, you're seeing the view that that they can see, that they both can see, the entire area that they both can see. So when you select a token, this selection field appears around it. And when you have the pointer over it, you'll see the way you get this white line, this white border that appears around. And it shows what that token can see from that point of view on the map. We do it the same on this token. You see that the white border, you get this white line down here because there's a wall here that it can't see through. And this white area is defining what this token can see versus what this one can see. But when you just click an open area, you're getting the combined view of what both of them can see together. This is the view that you're going to want to use to export your map. Think of it as party vision, what the entire party can see at the same time. And as they move through the dungeon, exploring, the light source moves with them, and what's exposed changes. To simulate a character carrying a torch or holding an object with a light spell on it, you can right-click and you can define the creature token as a light source. So now we have our human adventurer here holding a light source, and as she wanders down this corridor, expose only currently visible, more of it is revealed, and you'll see that our tabaxi has disappeared, and it's because this creature token can't see around that corner. And I've selected the tabaxi, and now because I've selected the tabaxi, it can't see our human adventurer down here. But if I click in any open area, I get the combined view of both tokens. And as they wander through the dungeon, you just keep updating expose only currently visible, and that reflects the exploration. This can be really creepy, really scary, and I think it's my favorite effect about MapTool is this darkness and vision blocking. Okay, I'm going to turn off Show as Player and going to disable Fog of War. And I think that covers everything that I wanted to in this lesson, which took a little longer than I thought it would, but that's it. More to come. Thanks for watching.